This is your prefrontal cortex, or your PFC. If I turn to the brain to the side here, you can see that this whole part here is yellow. That's your frontal lobe. That's the section that it's in. But if I take this here and show you guys, your prefrontal cortex, your PFC, is actually just the front area. It's the part right behind your eyes. If you look at it with your fist model, like we did earlier in class, and you look at that, the pinkies and maybe the next finger in, that's your prefrontal cortex, the front area of your brain. This part of your brain is responsible for decision making and making good choices. So this is like the big boss. It is the boss of your brain. If we're thinking about a brain like an orchestra, a big group of musicians together, right? The prefrontal cortex is the director of the orchestra. They are the person who is telling the rest of the musicians what to do and deciding what parts of the music they want to hear louder or softer, or if they need to be faster or slower. They're making all those choices. That is the director. So your prefrontal cortex is kind of like that too. It is telling the rest of your brain what thoughts should be going where, what messages need to be signaled to other parts of your brain and your body, and it helps direct your decision making and the choices that you make throughout your day. And that is your PFC, or your prefrontal cortex. Next, we are going to learn about our amygdala, which is the security guard of your brain. That's on the inside parts, not on the outside. So I'm going to move this up a little bit, and we're going to take a look at the inside parts of our brain. Here we go. All of those squishy pink parts on the outside are gone. All that matter is gone. We are looking at the inner workings of our brains. And now here is your amygdala. This is the yellow parts that are lit up right here and right here. These little beans are responsible for keeping you safe and understanding emotions. So they are, in the way that we've been thinking about it, they are the security guard of our brain. And the security guard is there to let you know when something dangerous is around and to make sure your brain jumps into action. In most dangerous situations that are really dangerous, you don't want to have to sit and think about it before you do something. For example, let's say the president is in a dangerous situation where he needs to be protected. His Secret Service are kind of like his amygdalas. They are his security guards. If a guy or a gal comes up with a weapon, do you think the security guards, the Secret Service, are going to stop and ask the president what to do first? No, probably not. They are going to jump right into action to help the president, which means they don't have time to think about what to do first. That's what your amygdala does. It jumps right into action, which means that it cuts off the connection between what's going on and your thinking part of your brain, or your prefrontal cortex. And we're going to talk about what that might mean in another lesson. But for now, let's keep going with the amygdala. So, like I said before, it's also the emotion center of your brain. It helps you understand and relay the emotions that you're feeling and recognize those in others as well. But the big thing that we want to know about it is that it is the security guard. It is going to alert you when something dangerous is happening. And there are three common ways that our brain reacts in dangerous situations. First is to fight. So if something dangerous or scary is happening, your brain might tell you that it's time to fight, literally. If there's a bad guy or an animal or something that is scary, you might need to fight, right? The second reaction is to flight, which means to run away. Maybe something scary is happening and your brain decides, well, that means we need to get out of here. The third reaction is to freeze. And that's something that can happen too. And sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not, but this is what your brain chooses to do most of the time, either fight, flight, or freeze. And there are other options too, but those are the three most common. If we're thinking about our brain like an orchestra, like a group of musicians, your amygdala is like the musicians themselves. It is creating the music, creating those emotions, and deciding whether they are big or small in the moment without really thinking about it. It is just playing that music and letting it happen. So remember, your amygdala is your security guard. Now we're going to take a look at your hippocampus. Your hippocampus is on the inside of your brain, kind of close to where your amygdala is. So we're going to take a look at the interior view of our brain again, get rid of all that gray matter on the outside, and take a look at the inner structures. So remember, this little bean right here is your amygdala. And if we click hippocampus here, boom, lights up. Those little pink wormy things that come from the back of your brain. You can see it from the back side here. That is your hippocampus, and it is your memory saver. It helps you remember things from long ago as well as things that happened maybe yesterday, and it helps save those memories for you. Your amygdala helps with this sometimes by saving memories that have to do with big emotions. So if you're feeling really happy and you want to remember that memory, your amygdala will send that message to your hippocampus and it'll help store it. Same with your frontal cortex. Your frontal lobe sends messages to your hippocampus to help save those memories. So if we think about the brain like an orchestra from the example, the hippocampus is like the sheet music. It is showing the musicians what to play and helping them remember all of those things. So even if part of the music happened way at the beginning of the piece, it is still storing that information. So remember, your hippocampus is your memory saver.